The most successful business owners don't do it all themselves. They delegate. Upwork is where growing businesses find, hire, and pay highly skilled freelance specialists, from software development and AI implementation to marketing, design, and business operations. With Upwork, you can fill critical skill gaps, launch projects faster, and scale support up or down without committing to full-time headcount. Visit Upwork.com right now to post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Welcome to The Bridge, the show that bridges the gap between Eastern and Western medicine, science and spirituality, physical and energetic health. If you're seeking to heal from within, ultimately achieving the pinnacle of health and well-being for your mind, body, and spirit, then rest assured, this show is tailored just for you. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Rodgers. I'm a heart-centered, Harvard-trained epidemiologist, researcher, medical intuitive, and transformational health and longevity doctor. Basically, I find the clues that every other health practitioner misses because they're looking in the wrong place. Welcome back to The Bridge, a transformational health podcast with me, Dr. Elizabeth Rodgers. I am so happy to be back here with you today for my first episode post-op. And so before we dive in, let's just take a couple of deep breaths together. I feel like we all really need this. I know I especially do. And I just want to get grounded and present with you. And I want us all to really land here in the space together. So if it's accessible to you, close your eyes. If not, just be, because it's meant to be. And when you take your next breath out, just let it all out. Maybe pull your belly in to squeeze that extra air out of your lungs. And then just take a nice deep breath in with intention. Fill your lungs all the way up to the very bottom with air. Pause for just a moment there. Suck in a little more air. And let it all out nice and slow. Let go of all that stuff you don't need. Let's do that again. Take a deep breath in. Fill up all the way. Very, very bottom. Pause for a moment. And exhale. Empty all that junk out. Good. Are you here? I've definitely landed and I feel much better now. So let's dive into today's post-op update. So if you're hearing me say post-op update and you have no idea what I'm talking about, then I strongly recommend you go back a few episodes so that you can start from the beginning of the story and fill yourself in with the context of what I'm about to talk about so you understand the magnitude of the situation I've been navigating this year. But for those of you who know, you know, and thank you for being with me on this journey. It means a lot to me. It's helped me feel more connected, less alone, and I'm really, really grateful. So thank you for being with me. On January 17th of this year, which is 2024, when we're recording this episode, it's like somebody flipped a switch inside the dentist office and my life has not been the same since. And because I've changed and grown so much during these 6 months, it will never be the same. I'm completely changed, but I'm grateful because that's what we're here to do, right? We're in Earth School. So this is all about changing, growing. And unfortunately for me now, I'm back in a time of extraordinary pain. It just is what it is. So for those of you who know, since January, and now we are officially over 6 months later, I've been navigating an extraordinary time of pain and suffering. And a few weeks ago, almost to the day, I had to have an oral surgery, which will be the first of at least 2. And this is the first time I've recorded an episode and connected with you all post-op. First, we're actually going to back up just a couple of days before surgery. The last time I recorded an episode and connected with you all here, told you about what was going on and that I was heading into surgery, actually something else interesting transpired. And I ended up getting the advice of another specialist. So if you recall a couple of episodes ago, we really talked a lot about the importance of getting different opinions and not just sticking with one and assuming that the prognosis, diagnosis, or whatever they have suggested is 100% accurate, trustworthy, reliable, or that whatever pathway has been suggested for you with respect to treatment, management, healing, whatever it is. No matter what, we're all just here to offer one perspective to you, and that includes me. And there isn't any one single person out here, including me, who can give you what you want. Only you can give yourself that. Only you can create longevity. We're all just here as a support system to facilitate that for you. So I landed at a prosthodontist's office just 3 days before surgery. So my surgery was scheduled for a Thursday, and I got into a prosthodontist office by some miracle. Well, I know it wasn't a miracle, actually. It was just divine intervention on Monday. So Monday before surgery, I go to a prosthodontist's office because, like I said, a trusted source strongly recommended that I get their advice, their guidance, their perspective is probably the best way to say it, because there were some specific things that they could either rule in or rule out that my oral surgeon could not necessarily. And of course, I wanted to make sure that I took that step before surgery to make sure that I was 100% certain that moving forward with a series of surgeries was the right and best decision and choice. So I go to a prosthodontist's office Monday with my surgery scheduled for Thursday. By the way, did you even know there was such a thing as a prosthodontist? Some of the people that I trust that I spoke with who have been supporting me, parents, my husband, some people had never even heard of a prosthodontist. And I don't think I really ever had either. And now, as I've navigated this crazy, unpredictable, unexpected, uncertain time, I've learned all kinds of new things, and I've learned about specialties and specialists that I either didn't know about or just wasn't very familiar with, what exactly they really did. And it just makes me wonder, why do we have all these different dentists? We have orthodontists, we have periodontists, we have prosthodontists, we have endodontists. And I just think that's a fucking lot of dentists, if you ask me. And I just wonder if any of these dentists were born out of some kind of situation with the dentists. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, was it that the dentists just were fucking up a lot? And so we realized we needed to create some of these dentists. Obviously, we needed some endodontists, people who could perform oral surgery, like my OMS, my oral maxillofacial surgeon. We need those people, right? Because the dentists can't do everything. And they, outside of the scope, of the regular procedures they do, we need people that do other things. But anyway, I land in a prosthodontist's office for my very first time. I tell him my whole story and a couple of things I want to highlight, just because one of the things I know I talk with you all about is the importance of finding the practitioners and support system that really align with you and your goals. But what I want to highlight is when he came into the room, We talked and just connected for probably a good 15, 20 minutes before we even talked about anything related to why I was sitting in that chair on that day to talk to him. We just talked about personal stuff, just connected. And then all of a sudden, he just looked at me probably after like 15, 20 minutes and said, "I'm so sorry. I know we haven't talked about why you're here. I just really feel it's important to build a connection and a rapport with my patients. And I take that really seriously. And so I just really like to connect intentionally." And when he said that, I knew without a doubt that I was right where I was supposed to be. And that is really important because you're probably hearing this and thinking that doesn't happen to me very often, or maybe it's never happened to me before, right? How often do you go to any kind of practitioner's office, especially mainstream, and have them walk in the door and not even talk to you about anything but nothing that has to do with why you're there? That actually just wants to connect with you, that looks you in the eyes, that doesn't touch a computer or a pen or anything, but just is there being with you, genuinely asking questions that show they really want to get to know you as a person, telling you personal stories or anecdotes that help you connect in a more authentic and personal way. So we connected for a while. And I tell him my whole story then. Tell him about why I'm there, what's gone on since January. I tell him every little bitty detail. And he takes a new x-ray of the part of my mouth where I'm having a problem. Really important because I also sent him the x-rays from the original dentist who did this to me. And so we were able to compare. And that was really important. And it's interesting. Told him my story. He pulls up the x-rays side by side and, says, "Now I'm going to do an examination, but I have some ideas of what I think is wrong." And he listed them out. He was so confident. It was obvious this was really important. So he did the exam, found some places where I was having pain and discomfort. And after all of that, after his assessment, we talked again. And he said, "So this is interesting." He said, "None of the things that I mentioned that I suspected could be the problem are the problem. Based on your examination, I'm confident that none of those things are your problem." So that just makes this even more mysterious. So he looks at my x-rays and he says, "If you see right around your tooth, it's obvious that you have some ligament inflammation." So that was something he taught me. He said, "Did you know that around each and every tooth in your mouth, you have ligaments?" And he said, "You can see in the x-ray," and you could. He said that the ligaments around that problematic tooth are so inflamed and so swollen. And if you look at it compared with your other teeth and ligaments around it, those ligaments do not look the same way in the x-ray. And you can clearly see that. And he says, one thing that I'm questioning in my mind is, do you just need a new crown? Is it the crown itself that was problematic? He said, if I had put that crown on originally back in January, I would not have put the new crown on the same day. So, word of advice to any of you out there who are impatient or who just want to go get a procedure all done at one time in the same day. If you are ever going to a dentist or to any type of oral person or health specialist to get a crown procedure, I strongly recommend that you consider this. Do not do it all in one day. He said to me, "Had I done your crown in January, even though I would have done it in the exact same way they did, I still would have put a temporary crown on you for 2 weeks at least, so that we could have seen were any other symptoms or problems going to surface during that time." And when he said that to me, I just felt this strong fire in my intuition. And I said, I really wish that that's the way this would have been done. And he said, well, you know, one possibility here is that you really just need a new crown. And I could take that crown off, put a temporary on for a couple of weeks. We just see how you do. And then we put the new crown on, or we learn that that was not the solution. And then ultimately, we're bringing you back to the same endpoint that you are about to go through, that you're considering, which is you would have to have oral surgery. And unfortunately, you would lose the tooth. And he said, but after we've talked and after I've looked at everything and listened to your story and examined you, I'm questioning whether that's what you need. And do you want to go through more pain and suffering? I'm really thinking at this point that the extraction and this surgery are ultimately what you need. And he offered to call my oral surgeon, who I was seeing for surgery just a few days later. And I really appreciate doctors, physicians, practitioners like that of any kind, traditional, non-traditional, holistic, doesn't matter. I appreciate when practitioners are willing to own their expertise and own what they're not experts at and collaborate and connect with other practitioners. Isn't that what we should all be doing so that we can help all of you create optimal health and longevity? So I really appreciated that. So I had some new advice, and based on this, I really felt strongly that I was doing the best thing for my health and well-being by having oral surgery a few days later. So I did proceed with surgery number 1 just a few days later on Thursday. I'm so happy to report that everything went well, and I'm really grateful. So the surgery itself went well. My surgeon even called me the same day after surgery to check on me, make sure I was okay. And I did, for about the next week, go through an extraordinary amount of pain and discomfort. I was put on so many different medications. So after surgery, I was taking 6 or 7 different medications at a time, depending on the day. And I got so incredibly sick. A couple of days after surgery, so surgery was a Thursday, on Monday after surgery, I just all of a sudden felt so sick and so lightheaded. I was scared that I needed my husband to call 911. I was so scared. I had to get down on the floor. He didn't know what to do. I was just telling him, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I was down on my hands and knees in the bathroom, and I ended up just like throwing up everywhere and then like passing out. I was laying on the cold bathroom floor, just staring at him for 2 hours, probably minimum. I could not get off the cold bathroom floor. I just wanted to lay next to the toilet. I felt so awful. I had him bring me anti-nausea meds that thankfully I was prescribed. And I took that and just laid on the floor more. And eventually I could not even get up. I had to crawl with my husband by my side. I had to crawl on the floor to get up and to get into a position where I was propped upright. You know, the first few days after surgery, I had to stay upright. I couldn't lay flat. I had to sleep kind of sitting upright. And I could not even get off the floor that day. I had to crawl. And my husband had to help lift me up onto the couch and prop me up so that I could have my head above my heart. My blood pressure was really low. I knew I was just not in good shape at all. And it was a really challenging and difficult day. So that week, that full week after surgery, ebbed and flowed, basically just like that. There was nothing I could do. It seemed like all I could do those first 2 weeks, especially after surgery, was just sleep, let my body rest, and just let my body have what it needed. You know, I think a lot of us, especially if you're like me and you're really prioritizing your health and well-being at all times because it's such a high value in your life, I think there can be this like expectation and urgency to get back, I want to make sure I'm cleansing and I'm healing and I'm eating all the right foods, quote, right foods, right? We'll talk about that on another episode, but I'm eating all the healing foods and supplements and this and that. And and right, it all sounds like a beautiful plan in our head before we go into surgery of how we're going to help ourselves afterwards. But I'm just going to let you know it does not usually turn out that way. And the best thing you can do after surgery or any kind of major health situation or setback is just rest. Just let yourself be. Just be easy and gentle with yourself. Just give your body what it needs: food, beverage, supplement wise. Don't worry about whatever you'd planned before. Just put your hand on your heart. Listen to your body. Whatever it needs, just honor that. And it's okay. It's okay. So those first 2 weeks after surgery were really, really challenging. Now I'm about a week post. I'm about 3, heading on 4 weeks post-op. And, I can tell I've gained some weight because I had to be completely sedentary. So that makes me feel shitty. I miss exercising. I haven't been able to get my heart rate up in months because it would cause me such extraordinary and excruciating pain. I couldn't stand it. So I'm just ready to start cleansing and shifting gears when it comes to this healing phase post-op. I did see my surgeon a week post-op. He told me that everything looked really great and removed my stitches actually early. So, well, they were actually sutures, but he removed them early, and that's really fantastic. And so I'm really grateful, and things are going well. I know in my mind, I had this expectation that magically a week after surgery, I was going to feel completely better, that all of my pain would be 100% gone, and that I'd be cruising back to high altitude again. But unfortunately, that's not the case. My surgeon did tell me to expect at least another 2 to 3 months of pain as my body heals because of everything I've been through up to this point. But what's interesting is I wanted to know, what my surgeon found in the surgery. Now, my tooth had a hairline fracture in it. He did say that that could have something to do with everything that's gone on these past 6 months. But it's interesting. He didn't seem to know for sure what the root cause really is. I know what the root cause really is. It's the dentist that did this to me in the first place. And I know that he right now is the only person in the world who knows exactly what he did to me and what happened on that day. But I know that something wasn't right. I know that something went wrong, something that I should have been informed about. And I'll never give up because we're all tired. We're tired of going to doctors' offices who treat us like this, who make mistakes and errors that then send us on these roller coaster rides, looking for support with additional health problems, symptoms, issues, pain that have all surfaced as a result of this doctor or what they've prescribed or what they've said or what they've done or how they've treated us. And so many of us all around the world are having very negative and heartbreaking and hurtful and scary experiences inside of doctors' offices. And it's not okay. And when will enough be enough? When will it be enough? Have you had enough? I know I have. And now I have to expect another 2 to 3 months at least of pain while my body heals. So things do not always go the way that we plan. In fact, I think they mostly never do. I think what I'm going through is a really, really awesome learning experience for me in knowing, accepting, and just completely surrendering to trust, because we do not have the plans. We are not in control. And here on earth, in this earth school we're all in, every moment of every day, of every second and instance that we are here, it's all uncertain, it's all unknown, it's all unpredictable. And these 6 months for me have been a daily moment to moment lesson in exactly this. So 10 days after surgery, I followed up with my neurologist, who did not feel it was the right time to start weaning me off of the 2 different medications she had prescribed me for what she thought may be trigeminal neuralgia. And I'm still having that type of pain, although it's not as severe and it has changed because of that. She wanted to see, let's wait another 3 months and see what happens. So off I go. I will see my oral surgeon again in about a month. And of course, I'll give you an update and tell you what's happening next. I see the neurologist again in September, at which time my hope is that I will begin to wean off of these medications, because I cannot take the way they make me feel. And I just want to feel like me. And I'm starting to gently move my body again. So just some gentle yoga, stretching, Pilates, nothing too crazy. I'm starting to walk again, which feels so good. I cannot even express it in words. And I'm really grateful. So this is my little post-op update for you. This is where I'm at. I hope that wherever you're at, you're feeling connected and full of love. Because I know one thing for sure, one of the many, many things for sure that I've had, I think, emphasized for me during this situation and experience is that love and connection are everything. And I've really learned even more than ever before that if you want to create longevity and optimal health, it's rooted and grounded in our connection to ourselves and to source, to your higher self, to self with a capital S, whatever you call it, to a higher power, the universe. That connection is the foundation of everything. And I'm really grateful. So I hope wherever you are, you're feeling full of love and connected in mind, body, and spirit. And I hope that our connection has lifted you up at least a little bit today. So wherever you are, I hope you can feel the big wave of love, gratitude for you being here, and just heartfelt, uplifting energy I'm sending to surround you all today. Thank you so much for being here, for listening. And just remember that creating and sustaining optimal health and longevity, it's an ongoing journey. So until next time, stay inspired, stay aligned, and shine that fucking light as bright as you can, because here comes the solstice and it's time for all of us to shine, shine, shine. I'll see you next time, podcast family. Thank you so much for listening to The Bridge, a transformational health podcast with yours truly, Dr. Elizabeth Rodgers. If you enjoyed the show today, it would mean so very much to me if you subscribe to the show and leave an honest, positive review. You can easily subscribe by going to the upper right-hand corner of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and press the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner. Also, be sure to sign up for my email list and join our private community to get even more content, value, and support on your health and well-being journey. You'll find these links in the show notes. Sending you so much positive and supportive energy today. I really hope you can feel it.